Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're firing up the engine for an exploration into the legendary world of Ferrari.
Yeah, it's quite a story. And for you, our listener, think of this as your kind of guided tour. We'll hit the key milestones, some surprising facts, how the brand evolved.
Right. The goal is to give you a solid understanding, about getting totally lost in the weeds. What makes Ferrari, well, Ferrari?
Exactly. We've got some great source material, audio recordings, a detailed PDF document charting the history.
And our mission today, really understand how Ferrari went from, let's say, one man's ambition to this global symbol of passion, precision.
And performance, definitely performance.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where do we begin? The man himself, Enzo.
Has to be. Enzo Anselmo Ferrari, born back in February 1898, Modena, Italy.
And the racing bug bit early, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Apparently, he saw his first race aged just 10 and was, well, completely hooked.
You can sort of picture that, the noise, the speed.
Yeah.
Must have been intoxicating for a kid back then.
Absolutely, and it really set his path. After World War I, he started as a test driver, then ended up at Alfa Romeo.
First driving, then managing their racing division.
That's the one. He was successful there, no doubt. But Enzo, he had bigger ideas. He wanted his own cars.
Cars that were what? Just pure performance.
Performance, yes, but also elegance. That combination was key to his vision, which led him to start Scuderia Ferrari in 1929.
Okay, Scuderia Ferrari. But they weren't building Ferrari cars yet, right?
Not initially, no. It was actually Alfa Romeo's sort of quasi-works racing team. They raced Alfa cars.
Okay. But under Enzo's leadership.
Under Enzo. And they quickly got a reputation, speed, meticulous preparation, just this relentless drive to win.
That focus on winning seems absolutely core from day one.
Totally fundamental. But, like we said, Enzo wanted his name on the engine. Creative differences with Alfa. Well, they led to him leaving in 1939.
Finally free to build his own dream machines.
Well, almost. Then World War II happened, so that obviously put things on hold for a bit.
Right, a pretty significant delay. But he didn't give up.
Not a chance. Finally, 1947, Maranello. The first car rolls out with a Ferrari badge, the 125S.
And technically, what was under the hood?
A 1.5-liter V12 engine, which, for the time was pretty sophisticated engineering.
V12 right from the start. And did it perform?
Did it ever? Just weeks after its debut, it won the Rome Grand Prix. That wasn't just launching a car, it was a statement. A new force had arrived.
And there's an amazing fact about the factory itself, isn't there? About resilience.
Oh, yeah. The Maranello factory, the heart of it all, was bombed twice during the war.
Twice, and you rebuilt it each time.
Each time. That tells you something about his determination, doesn't it? Just this absolute unwavering focus on the vision.
Incredible. So that really sets the stage. The man, the initial vision, the first car, what happens next? Things start picking up speed.
Big time. The late 40s, the 1950s, these were really transformative years. And what's fascinating is this dual focus they had.
Right, not just racing, road cars too.
Exactly. They needed the road cars to fund the racing, essentially. But they weren't just functional. Models like the 166 Inter from 48. Beautiful machines. People call them rolling works of art. They appealed to, well, wealthy enthusiasts.
And Enzo had a saying about this period, didn't he? Something about the next car.
He did. The best Ferrari is the next one. That constant push, never resting on laurels, always improving.
That really sums it up. And then came Formula One.
1950, they jumped into the brand new F1 championship right at the beginning.
And how long did it take to get that first win?
Not long at all. 1951 British Grand Prix, Jose Froilán González driving, a huge moment.
Especially who they beat, right, wasn't it?
Alfa Romeo, his old team. Imagine that. Enzo's new company beating the established giant he used to work for. Hugely symbolic.
Must have been satisfying. And that really kicked off a period of, dominance.
You could say that. The 50s and 60s were just incredible in motorsport. Formula One legends, Alberto Ascari, back-to-back titles in 52, 53.
And Fangio drove for them too. Juan Manuel Fangio.
Yep, the great Fangio. The sport's first real global superstar. He won a title with Ferrari too.
And it wasn't just F1, was it? Endurance racing. Le Mans.
Absolutely crucial. The 250 series cars were icons in endurance racing. Think about this. 6 consecutive wins at the 24 hours of Le Mans.
6. From when?
1960 right through to 1965. Just unbelievable dominance in one of the toughest races in the world.
And within that 250 series, there's one model that stands above all others, maybe the GTO.
Ah, the 250 GTO. Yeah, produced 62 to 64. It's almost mythical now, isn't it?
Why? What makes it so special? Is it just the rarity?
The rarity is a big part of it, only 36 ever made, but it's also the blend. Breathtaking looks, incredible speed, and a winning racing history. It's the whole package. It's why they're now among the most valuable cars on the planet.
36. That's incredible scarcity.
And talk about exclusivity, another amazing fact. Enzo Ferrari himself supposedly personally approved every single buyer of a 250 GTO.
He personally vetted the buyers.
Apparently so. You didn't just buy a GTO. Enzo decided if you were worthy of owning one. That really set a tone, for the brand's exclusivity that continues today.
So looking back at these early decades,
Yeah.
the foundation is clear. Racing victory, beautiful road cars, and this fierce exclusivity, all driven by Enzo.
That's the core of it. Passion for racing, automotive art, and that unwavering vision. And speaking of art and vision, maybe we should talk about some specific iconic models, milestones.
Good idea. We mentioned the 250 GTO, legendary stuff. What else stands out? Maybe the Dino.
The Dino 246 from 1969. Yeah, that's a really important one and quite poignant.
Poignant. Why?
It was named after Enzo's son, Alfredo, or Dino, who tragically died young. And technically, it was a departure. It had a V6 engine, not the usual V12.
Why the V6?
Well, Dino himself had actually done a lot of work on developing that V6 engine before he passed away, so the car was a direct tribute to his work, his legacy. Very personal for Enzo.
Wow. Okay, moving forward. The 80s. That brings one car immediately to mind for me, Testarossa.
Oh yeah, 1984 to 96. Instantly recognizable, isn't it? That wide body, there's massive side strakes.
Very Miami Vice.
Exactly. It became a total pop culture icon, huge presence, powered by that big 4.9-liter flat 12 engine. It just screamed 1980s aspiration and style.
Then, for the 40th anniversary.
1987, the F40. Another landmark car.
And significant because Enzo himself.
It was the very last car that Enzo Ferrari personally signed off on before his death in 1988.
Wow. And it was a monster.
Pretty much. Twin-turbo V8, fastest road car in the world at the time, hit 201 miles per hour. It was raw, totally driver-focused, no compromises, pure adrenaline.
Okay, fast forward again, 2002, a car named simply Enzo.
The Enzo Ferrari, a tribute to the founder, obviously. And it was a showcase, really, cutting-edge tech for the time.
Like what?
Carbon fiber chassis, a massive 6.0-liter V12. Production was limited to 399 units initially, plus one gifted to the Pope. It was about honoring the legacy with technology.
And then a big shift in philosophy, perhaps. 2013, the LaFerrari.
Definitely a pivotal moment. Ferrari's first ever hybrid production car.
Hybrid? How did that work?
It paired a massive V12, naturally aspirated, with an electric motor. Combined output, over 950 horsepower. Insane performance.
So showing that performance and maybe some eco-consciousness could coexist.
That seemed to be the message, yeah. A nod to the future, blending tradition with new tech.
Yeah.
And speaking of tech,
Yeah, another cool fact about the LaFerrari.
its hybrid system had this energy recovery feature, KERS, basically. It captured energy during braking, just like in their F1 cars, and you could redeploy it for extra boost.
F1 tech bleeding directly into the road cars.
Exactly, that's a constant theme. These models, they all show that blend beauty, innovation, and that deep, deep connection to their racing roots.
Which brings us squarely back to that racing heritage. It's impossible to separate Ferrari from motorsport, isn't it?
Absolutely inseparable. You mentioned the stats, most successful F1 team ever. Over 240 wins, 16 constructors' titles as of late 2023. It's just woven into the fabric of the company.
And the history there is so rich. Peaks and valleys, like the 70s with Niki Lauda.
Legendary era. Lauda was incredible. 2 championships, 75 and 77. That intense rivalry with James Hunt.
Which people might know from the movie Rush.
Exactly. And Lauda's come back from that horrific crash in 76. Just unbelievable courage and determination. Truly inspiring.
Then another peak, maybe the biggest one, early 2000s.
Michael Schumacher. Utter dominance. 5 straight drivers' titles, 2000 to 2004. The combination of Schumacher, Gene Todt running the team, Ross Brawn on strategy, they were just unstoppable.
The red cars just win in everything.
It felt like it sometimes. But as you said, it hasn't always been smooth sailing. There were tougher periods.
Like when?
Like-
Late 80s, 90s.
Yeah, they struggled against teams like McLaren and Williams for quite a while then.
Yeah.
Championship droughts. And motorsport is dangerous. There have been tragedies.
Terrible losses of drivers.
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve in 82, yes.
Yep.
A huge loss, such a beloved figure. And Lorenzo Bandini back in 67. Stark reminders of the risks involved. And personally for Enzo, we mentioned his son Dino's death back in 56. That must have cast a long shadow.
Immensely so. It clearly influenced him deeply. And as we saw, led to tributes like the Dino car later on.
But through all of it, the wins, the losses, the tragedies that Enzo, quote, seems to echo, racing is life.
It really does. It's the core belief system. And here's maybe the most amazing racing fact.
Go on.
Ferrari is the only team to have competed in every single Formula One World Championship season since it started in 1950.
Every single season for over 70 years.
Unbroken participation. That level of commitment is just unparalleled. It speaks volumes.
It absolutely does. But that commitment, especially to racing, also brought challenges, right? It wasn't always easy street.
Definitely not. The 1960s, for instance, were financially quite tough. Funding that massive racing effort purely through road car sales, it stretched them really thin.
Which led to that famous incident with Ford.
Exactly. In 1963, Ford comes knocking, wanting to buy Ferrari. They saw the prestige, the performance.
That Enzo said no.
He pulled out late in the negotiations. The sticking point. He refused to give up control of the racing division, Scuderia Ferrari. That was non-negotiable for him.
And Ford didn't take it well.
Not exactly. Henry Ford II was reportedly furious, vowed to beat Ferrari where it hurt most Le Mans.
And they did, didn't they, for the GT40?
Yep. They poured resources into the GT40 program, and in 1966, finally ended Ferrari's winning streak at Le Mans, a major blow for Enzo and Ferrari.
Enzo himself, the commendatore, the commander. He sounds like a tough character to work for.
By all accounts, yes. Very demanding, autocratic style. He clashed with the drivers, engineers, his way or the highway, often.
Did that cause problems? Lose talent?
It certainly did sometimes. High standards, yes, but it also meant talented people left. John Surtees, for example, won the F1 title with them in '64 and left not long after due to disagreements.
And he had his quirks, too. Superstitions.
Oh, famously so. Avoided black cats, apparently didn't like women in the factory. Though how strictly that was enforced, who knows? Added to the mystique, I suppose.
What about competition on the road? By the 80s, others were catching up. Lamborghini, Porsche.
For sure, brands like Lamborghini and Porsche were really stepping up their game, offering serious performance, sometimes maybe even more creature comforts or cutting-edge tech in road cars.
Because Ferrari was so focused on racing.
That focus sometimes meant road car development, maybe in terms of pure luxury or usability, wasn't always the absolute top priority compared to rivals who only made road cars.
But they got a lifeline financially.
Yes, hugely important. In 1969, Fiat came in and bought a 50% stake. That provided much-needed financial stability.
Did Enzo lose control then?
Crucially, no. The deal allowed him to retain control of the racing side. So Fiat provided the backing, Enzo kept running the Scuderia, a vital partnership.
And more superstitions. We mentioned cats.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, the number 17 was apparently very unlucky for him, and he supposedly had lucky clothes, like a specific jacket he'd wear for races he felt were important.
Fascinating character. Fierce, brilliant, complex, superstitious.
Absolutely, a blend that somehow created this incredible legacy. Which leads us to how the brand itself evolved beyond just cars.
Right, it became this cultural icon. Lifestyle brand, almost.
Totally. And the logo, the Prancing Horse, Cavallino Rampante, it's instantly recognized everywhere.
Where did that come from again? World War I ace.
Francesco Baracca, yeah. A top Italian fighter pilot in WWI. He had it painted on his plane. Enzo met his mother after the war.
And she suggested he use it for luck.
That's the story. Countess Paulina Baracca said, "Put my son's Prancing Horse on your cars. It will bring you good luck." Enzo adopted it in 1932, and, well, it seemed to work.
Understatement. And that exclusivity we talked about with the GTO.
Yeah.
They really mastered that, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. Limited production runs, maintaining high demand. Even now, you don't just walk in and buy certain models. You have to be, well, invited or approved. Deemed worthy, as they say.
And they've expanded beyond cars, too. Merchandise, experiences.
Hugely successful expansion. Clothing, watches, accessories, and then huge things like Ferrari World and Abu Dhabi, the theme park. They've built an entire universe around the brand.
But they still feel very Italian, rooted in Maranello.
Deeply rooted. Maranello is still the heart, a pilgrimage site for fans. They celebrate the heritage constantly, even as they expand globally.
And balancing that heritage with the future.
Yeah.
Electrification, hybrids.
Yeah.
Like the SF90 Stradale.
Exactly. They're showing they can innovate, embrace new tech like hybrid systems, even plan for a fully electric car, they've said, by 2025.
So adapting again.
Yeah.
Trying to stay ahead while honoring the past.
It's the tightrope they walk, Sustainability is a huge pressure now, but they seem committed to finding a Ferrari way to address it.
It's quite the evolution. Okay, let's bring it up to the present day, 2023 and beyond. How's Ferrari looking now?
Still thriving by all metrics, road cars are pushing boundaries, even an SUV, the Pure are saying, which was controversial but seems successful.
Controversial because it's an SUV, not a traditional sports car.
Exactly. But they argue it retains the Ferrari DNA. And on track, in F1, they're fighting hard to get back to the very top with drivers like Leclerc and Sainz.
And financially, still strong, still exclusive.
Record sales, incredibly loyal customers, financially very strong, but the challenges remain, definitely.
Electrification being the big one, and competition.
Those are huge. How do you make an electric Ferrari that feels like a Ferrari? How do you balance that with environmental targets? And Lamborghini, McLaren, others are always pushing.
But history suggests they'll find a way. They tend to rise to challenges.
That's been their pattern. They became a public company back in 2015, listed on the stock exchange.
Did that change things? Dilute the brand?
It was a concern for some, but they seem to have managed it well. They still cultivate that exclusive, almost family-like feel. Leadership under Benedetto Vigna seems focused on protecting that prestige while moving forward.
And the production numbers? Still limited, even as a public company.
Yeah, that's another amazing fact. They still deliberately cap production around 10,000 cars a year, give or take. It's all about maintaining that desirability and exclusivity.
Smart. Playing the long game. Okay, before we wrap up, let's revisit a few more of those great stories, those amazing facts that make Ferrari. Well, Ferrari.
Sure, like the color red, Rosso Corsa.
It's the Ferrari color, isn't it? But it wasn't their choice initially.
Not exactly. Back in the early days of Grand Prix racing, nations were assigned colors. Italy's color was red. Alfa Romeo raced in red, Maserati. Ferrari just proudly continued that Italian racing tradition, and now it's synonymous with them.
And Enzo becoming more reclusive later on, not going to races?
Yeah, after the 50s, he rarely attended, stayed in Maranello, got race updates by phone, apparently sent terse telegrams to the team, sometimes praise, sometimes not praise.
Communicating by telegram. And that story about Queen Elizabeth refusing to sell her staff a car.
That's a persistent anecdote, yeah. Supposedly happened in the 60s. The reason given was something about prioritizing existing owners or people who really got the Ferrari ethos. Whether it's totally true or not, it definitely adds to the legend of Enzo's principles.
Protecting the brand identity above all else. And the early cars being handmade.
Oh yeah, true craftsmanship. Aluminum bodies hammered into shape over wooden bucks by skilled artisans. That's why those early cars have such character, such soul. Very different from mass production.
And we have to mention the Ford rivalry one last time. It's just such a great story.
It really is. The buyout falling through, Henry Ford II's determination, the GT40s battling the Ferraris at Le Mans. The whole Ford v Ferrari movie captured that drama brilliantly. It's epic automotive history.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? These anecdotes show it's more than just engineering and speed. It's about personality, drama, history.
Absolutely. Ferrari's journey.
Yeah.
It's a testament to vision, sure, but also resilience, innovation, dealing with setbacks, intense rivalries, from Enzo's first V12 to today's hybrid hypercars.
They really sit at that crossroads, don't they? Tradition and innovation, honoring the racing heritage, but pushing into the future.
And that prancing horse, whether it's on a screaming V12 or maybe soon a silent electric motor, it still represents something powerful. Passion, aspiration.
And like Enzo said, the best Ferrari is the next one. That relentless drive.
It's baked into their DNA.
So here's a final thought for you listening. Considering Ferrari's whole history, overcoming financial crises, intense competition, technological shifts, how will they navigate this next massive challenge?